Okay, so I thought we would just have a little chat while I am painting. And I kind of wanted to talk about what it's like to balance art and work or whatever else you have going on in life. Like maybe you're a parent or you have other obligations. Maybe you have a full-time job, maybe you have a part-time job. Like whatever that looks like in your specific situation. So I guess I'll just share a little bit more about my specific situation. I work about 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, and I've worked at the same place for the last 10 years. It's my sister's company. So she started a business when we were both in college, or maybe I was in high school. Yeah, I was definitely like at the end of high school when I started working for her. And she started a business called The Painted Press, where she makes clay jewelry dishes. And really early on, she had me experiment with painting on them with watercolor. And so I started working for her here and there, just like doing a few designs. Like we would get a few orders and I would make those for people. And she like stamps people's initials and date into the little bowl, into the little dish. So that's always the format that it's on. And we just kind of were experimenting with like what it's like to paint with watercolor on there. And then over the years, like it just really took off and it really expanded. There was a period of time where I had somebody working basically under me in the company. She was just my assistant and she basically just did a certain number of my designs because I had so many I couldn't keep up with. And I started doing landscapes. So like people will send me the picture of where they got engaged or where they got married, and I will paint that onto the dish with their initials and stuff. So that is what I do for work. But honestly, more than that, more than like the landscapes, I paint leaves and flowers, mostly leaves. That's like our most popular design. And I paint these leaves so many times over and over every day. And I'm really grateful for it. It's been such an amazing job. And I love the people I work with. She's had a lot of different employees over the years. And I love what I do there. It's kind of crazy and awesome to think about how many leaves I've painted in my life. Hundreds of thousands of these dishes with this motif on them. And like it's in my veins now. Like I could paint those while I'm sleeping. And I can do them so fast because I've done them so many times. But anyway, so that's a little bit more about what I do. And I make a little bit of money here and there every once in a while with like my paintings when I sell them, but I've never really had like a ton of time to put toward that because of my job, which I love. So that's just like a little bit of context. And another thing about that is that since I'm painting for work, a lot of the time when I get home, I don't really want to paint. You know what I mean? It's like, even though it is quite different, it's a very different activity from the type of painting that I do there. I just like want to break from that, And so I think that can be a big challenge with feeling motivated. But I know that no matter what your job is, like if you've been working for hours or an entire shift or however long it is, and then you get home, having that motivation and the energy to create artwork for yourself and like artwork that you're passionate about is not easy. And so I just kind of wanted to share that something that I think has been really helping me lately. And I know this might not be like extremely relatable because not a lot of people probably have like a day job that has to do with art, but who knows? But I've stopped compartmentalizing the two things so much. I think I used to be so focused on the differences, and I honestly felt like painting at work had nothing to do with the type of painting that I do when I'm not at work. And it just felt like they didn't have any relation to one another. And like what I learned at home when I'm painting, when I'm in my studio, is so different from like the skills that I'm using at work, and vice versa. Like I just felt like it was just too different. And honestly, over the past few months, like ever since really I started this channel, because the reason I started the channel was because of the fact that I'm studying the paintings of Edouard Vuillard. Like that was what my first video was about, and it's still something that I'm doing and that I'm focusing on a lot. And that really like helped me in the way that I painted my landscapes at work, because I'd always seen it as like this more commercial thing, that I was making a product instead of a painting more. Like, yes, it's a painting, but it's on a product and it's for somebody and they've ordered it and like they're telling me what to paint. And I thought of it more as a product, even though it is a painting, like it's a work of art. And when I started to apply the things that I was learning through this artist's work to not only my paintings that I make on my own time, but to all the paintings that I make at work, I started to have so much more fun painting at work. I started to really like my landscapes a lot more, whereas I liked them before, but again, it felt like just such a different process, such a different technique from what I do when I'm like painting really for the joy of it. And suddenly I started to like channel that into my work and paint that way, even though the media is different, the medium is different, the subject matter is different, but I still like was able to tap into that. And then maybe on a more like relatable note, I just feel like not compartmentalizing my art and my life so much has been really helpful. So, for example, I started bringing my sketchbook to work more. And again, a reason why I have never really sketched at work is because in my mind, I've always been like, work is work. And then, when I get home, then I'll work on my art. And I've just seen it as two separate things. But maybe I'll get my sketchbook and I'll show you like what I've done at work and how that's helped me to kind of marry those two things together and allow them to coexist. So I'll be right back. So these are two little thumbnail sketches that I did before painting landscapes on dishes at work the other day. And these are really quick, and they were so fun to do, and they helped me to just have a clearer idea of what I was doing going into those paintings. Oh, and then I think I did one more. So this was like a castle landscape, and just really quick, I did a thumbnail of it, which, yeah, it's not like anything too fancy. I think that was one reason why I never wanted to do any kind of prep work at work, is because often like there's so much to do. There's so much to paint during the time that I'm there. And so I'm just focused on productivity. Like, how can I get the work done? And I forget to like let myself not take it seriously, because I think I always take it seriously, but like these little paintings matter, and like I can have fun doing them in a way that I think I had sort of forgotten. Yeah, I realized that even if my job had nothing to do with art, like the act of bringing my sketchbook there and like doing a little thumbnail while I'm there, instead of just thinking to myself like, oh, I wish I could, be at home and have more time to work on my art. Like integrating that, like working on my art, but like integrating that into other moments of my life that I typically just compartmentalize and think of as completely unrelated to my art practice, really changed the way I was thinking about it and made me feel like, okay, like even if I don't have very much time every day to focus on my paintings, like I can interweave that through the other parts of my life and moments of my day. So yeah, I kind of was thinking of it as like there's art and there's life, and I want them to hold hands. So, and when I say life, I'm talking about work, but I'm also talking about like anything else in life that like we have to do. And when I say have to do, I'm not saying that it's a negative thing or that it's a burden in any way. It's just like those things that are necessary, like cooking or any part of our lives that isn't explicitly dedicated to the art practice, and like how can we welcome that practice into those areas instead of thinking that we have to choose between the two. I think that's a big consideration that's been on my mind, is like, because I'm never going to choose my art practice over my family, like, because I don't want to, and I don't see that as being more important. And I think that there's this lie that often gets emphasized in certain like parts of art culture, that like you do have to choose between art and family. Like you have to, if you're going to be serious or be considered a serious artist and have time to do anything meaningful or successful, like you're going to have to choose and prioritize that over people. And I just don't think that's true. And I will show you an example of like another aspect of life that I've invited art into, because two different things. Okay, so this is a sketch that I did in watercolor while on a little day trip with my husband. We went to Sacramento to celebrate our anniversary, and I definitely did not want to like bring my sketchbook and make the trip about painting, because like it was for us and we were like spending time together, and that's not really something we could do together, and we didn't have a lot of time. So I didn't want to like spend half the day looking for spots to paint and setting up my paints and whatnot. But just taking the sketchbook with me anyway and making a crazy sloppy sketch in the car based on the things that I was seeing out the window as we were driving through California, like that felt so good. It felt like I was like welcoming art into the everyday, and not compartmentalizing and being like, oh well, since we're going on a trip today, like I can't work on painting at all. It sounds so simple, but it's somewhat new for me. And like just being able to do something that's not so rigid and that's fun and loose like this, I think has been really helpful to be okay with like welcoming that into other areas of my life. Another example, since I had my sketchbook, I pulled it out when we were playing golf, the card game, not the putting game. We were playing golf at this brewery, and so I pulled it out to keep score. And then afterward, I painted this little gesture illustration on it, and I like circled Ethan's score and wrote winner. So that was another just like fun way of painting and in my daily life, and it didn't have to be a big deal. Another thing that I've been really loving is painting jazz. And again, this is something that marries my day-to-day life with my art practice in a way that I never would have considered doing in the past. But yeah, I've been drawing live jazz because Ethan's in a quartet. So this was at like a club that he was playing at. I ended up drawing the drums first. So he got really cropped out, which I kind of like the look of. It's just like an interesting, atypical composition. And this was another member of the band. I think, yeah, that's like, I like to do, like focus on one person and then have like some of the other characters be really kind of barely noticeable in the background. This one, I tried to get every member of the quartet. So the bass player or guitar, I don't honestly know, was sitting. And so he was really like not in the composition, and I liked how I was able to like get him up close in that bottom corner. So you have all the members of the quartet here. And I just love how these drawings turned out. I was using my water-soluble pencil, which if you've been watching, you know that I've been obsessed with. And it's just so nice for drawing in the style and like drawing jazz. You're kind of like going along with the music. And then when you add water, it really adds to that like free-flowing, spontaneous quality. And then this was a different jazz. This was a trio, a Latin jazz trio at a Italian like bar restaurant that we went to the next night. And this was so fun to do. It was just a really good vibe there. There were people dancing, and like the food was really good. The wine was really good. And yeah, I really enjoyed doing this. And then I did a little sketch of Ethan, who was sitting across from me. I asked if he wanted to draw anything or write anything. I was like, what if you wrote a poem and then I illustrated it? So he was super cool and took my sketchbook, wrote this poem, and I did like a drawing of my interpretation of the poem. So yeah, I thought those were worth sharing because that has been such a fun thing to just make art during like moments of my life when normally I never would have considered it. But definitely this is like an ongoing quest for me. Like I do not feel like I have mastered this idea of not compartmentalizing art and work and life so much anymore. Yeah, it's something that I'm just like always constantly, I don't know if I want to say struggling with, but like I'm always trying to find ways to spend more time painting and to have enough energy for that without sacrificing my work or sacrificing like anything else that's important to me. So I would love to hear your thoughts or like any tips that you have, anything that you have learned over the years if you've been doing this even longer than I have. I think I've been doing better lately than in the past in terms of just actually finding time to paint. And I think YouTube, like starting this channel, has both helped and hindered. I think it's helped more than it's hindered because like just knowing that I'm making these and like having these concrete goals of like where I want to improve and the art that I want to make, like that has been invaluable. Because I think in the past, before I had any type of community like this, it was easy for me to go longer amounts of time just like not working and like succumbing to that lack of energy that sometimes arises. But making YouTube videos is also really time consuming. So it's another thing that I do have to balance and figure out how to be consistent at without letting other stuff suffer. But I'm absolutely loving it. Don't get me wrong. I really, really enjoy making these. And I love sharing thoughts and hearing your thoughts. Like it's my favorite thing is hearing feedback and like connecting with people who have so many different experiences and opinions. And yeah, I just love to hear about y'all. So leave a comment. Let me know what your situation is. Do you have a job that's full-time, that's part-time? Is art your job? Is it just your passion? I don't want to say just. Is it just your passion? You know what I mean. Just let me know your situation and give us all your hot tips for being an artist and also a person. because that's what we all are.
I'm sure that the longer we talk, the more violently boring he'll become. But we're here, and that blank stare again. What are you studying? I clarify. Oh, the rain that had cooperated to grow this massive tree, laundry bags around it. The car is ancient, I say. He keeps his window up. I keep mine down.
Okay, I have been working on this painting for the past hour. I don't know if you can hear me with the music. Hold on. So I never paint standing up, and I'm trying to do it because I've been feeling so low energy, and I just sit down to paint and all I want to do is go lay down. So if I'm standing up, I think that keeps my energy naturally higher, and I feel like I'm doing something more active. Because for some reason, I don't know if you guys relate to this, but I feel more motivated to do the dishes or sweep the floor than I do to paint, which is ridiculous because those are just chores. But I think there's something about moving my body and doing something concrete that I can point at afterward and say it's done, I did it. That gives me so much motivation and energy, and I feel yeah, let's do it, I can do it. But painting, especially when I'm not particularly inspired, depending on where I'm at with a piece, if I'm not really inspired, I find it so hard to just get working. And then normally when I start, then I kind of gain momentum and I can keep going. But getting started and getting past that first 30 minutes, 1 hour of painting ish, that's the sweet spot where it starts to become fluid and I feel I'm flowing with it. So anyway, update on this painting. It's been a roller coaster. I really like it right now. I'm enjoying working on it right now, and I think it's coming together. It's been a roller coaster though, of being frustrated and then inspired and frustrated and inspired. So yeah, that's where we're at. I wanted to show you guys this drawing before I pack it up and send it. Somebody just bought this off of my Etsy. I think I'm gonna start selling work on my website. I have it set up so where I can sell on there. I just haven't done it for a while. I think there's 2 prints available. But other than that, the only originals I have are on Etsy, and every once in a while they'll sell. So yeah, this one just sold, and this is one of the last pieces that I have from the artist residency that I did in France. So I made this in France. It's so beautiful and I have such good memories associated with it, but I'm happy that it's going to somebody. So I'm going to tape it gently to this cardboard. It's in like a protective sleeve, and then I slide the cardboard into the envelope, and then I'll put in like a business card. I made some handmade business cards. Maybe I'll show you those too. Okay, these are the two prints. They're just like postcard sized that I have available for sale, but when someone buys an original piece, I always put one or the other of these in with the order, and I'll write a thank you note on the back. These are the little business cards I made. I haven't written my info on them yet, but I just did little drawings on these scraps from printmaking, and I just handwrite my info on the back. So that's a fun little way to show my appreciation, because it's like a one-of-a-kind little thing people can hold on to if they want. I think I'm gonna use this one for this order. I quite like that. So to end out the vlog, I'm just gonna give you a little bit more context for the stuff that you've seen me work on. I picked up this book. I got this at a used bookstore during our day trip, and it's all these plates, mostly plates. There are other like ceramics as well. But as I was looking through this, I was thinking, these all look like paintings, like they need to be paintings. The colors that they've chosen to go behind the plates as well are gorgeous. And so many of these are just really inspiring. And yeah, I wanted to do a series of them. So I think I'm just gonna stick to small paintings and do 7x7s. The one that I was working on while we were chatting, I didn't end up finishing. This is it so far. And yes, it's not quite round. Neither is the other one that I did. This one I will probably make that a little bit more round, but it also has a ways to go. I can show you what this is based on. So this is the plate, which look at that detail. It's just so beautiful. So I do have a lot more detail left to add. And then the other one I did is based on this Picasso plate. Yeah, it says Picasso, so I guess he made that. And I did this painting of it. Yeah, I'm really enjoying working on these, and I plan to make a bunch of them. So that's what these are. I haven't yet done one of this plate, but I'm excited to, because I just love that. This was the color study that you all saw, and I really like how this turned out. Every time I do a Vuillard color study, I feel like I learn so much, like I take so much away from it. Not only about color and color mixing, but just his compositions are so gorgeous. Look at the triangular tablecloth in the middle. Like it's just, I love it. I love it so much. The figures, like the way they sort of relate to one another, amazing. Okay. Then what else did I want to show you? Oh, this. So the other clips that you saw of me working on some collage pieces, that was for a project I did, and I shared it on my Substack. It was a poem that I wrote about a year ago about like the overwhelm of social media and like how crazy overstimulating it is. And I just wrote that for myself. Like I was not planning on sharing it, but I came across it again, and as I was reading it, I was like, this is actually really like good. Like I like it. I'm not really like a writer, but sometimes I write and I quite like it, and I think it's worth sharing. So yeah, I decided to make some visual representation of that poem and then share the drawings and the poems together. And I did. So if you are interested in that, I will link it below. And if you're interested in like seeing a little video of what went into those drawings and my process, and then also like a spoken word version of the poem, I did that for paid subscribers. So I wanted to do something like fun and extra to give back to people who have decided to give monthly to me, because it's just amazing and I'm so grateful. So that was what I did this week, was a spoken word version of the poem, which was really cool because I used to love spoken word when I was like in high school. I was obsessed with it, and I think I'd kind of lost that love. So sitting down and like recording myself reading the poem and putting it out there felt really cool. Like my past version of myself would be very proud, and I'm getting like back into it. So I think that's all that I wanted to share. Yeah. Thank you guys for joining me for this chatty vlog. And yeah, stay tuned for more videos, more random projects. I think I'm gonna make a video about my kitchen. I don't know if that interests anybody, but it's interesting to me. So stay tuned for more art vlogs and projects and nonsense and everything. Okay, thank you guys for being here. See you next time.